Hello and welcome. This is your boy Jack here to do another reaction video. This time I'll be reacting to Tom MacDonald's Fake Woke. I have done a couple of reaction videos to some of his work, and I do remember liking them. I do remember his messages are usually relevant to what's actually happening to around him, and it's usually very authentic. And what he says is actually quite authentic. He believes in what he says, and he puts it out there regardless of how it of whether or not it's actually controversial. And based on the title I'm checking out, I'm looking at right now, Fake Woke, I'm quite certain this is actually going to be one of those controversial tracks. And even though I don't 100% agree with what he says most of the time, but I do think it actually takes courage to actually speak your mind, especially in this day and age where people seem to be on a mission to find fault in everyone's statement, regardless of its intent. So I'm actually curious to see what he has to say about this, and I hope you guys would follow me in this journey. So without further ado, let's get this reacting party started. This is Tom MacDonald, and the track is Fake Woke.
I think it's crazy I'm the one who they labeled as controversial, and Cardi B is the role model for 12-year-old girls. There's rappers pushing Xanax at the top of the billboard, but if I mention race in a song, I'm scared I'll get killed for it. It's backwards, it's getting exponentially dumb. It's more difficult to get a job than purchase a gun. Eminem used to gay bash and murder his mom, and now he doesn't want fans if they voted for Trump. We're ashamed to be American.
Hold up.
You should probably love it.
All right, I'm sorry, I have to take this back. I kind of got distracted a bit. He does, let's just start from the beginning again. I do agree. I do think it's actually a bit hypocritical. It's really weird that, what, let's just take it from the beginning. From the beginning, yes.
I think it's crazy I'm the one who they labeled as controversial, and Cardi B is the role model for 12-year-old girls.
Okay, there you go. I'm assuming he's actually talking more about the whole WAP situation. That is kind of prevalent. I have no problem with how do I phrase this properly? I have less of a problem with sexuality as opposed to violence. I think it's a bit skewed that violence is readily acceptable in the mainstream media as opposed to sexuality. So yeah, that's a very weird gray area for me. I'm not quite sure how to put it without actually it coming off weird, which is why I'm gonna edit this part out before I get myself into trouble for, oh wow, why am I even talking about that? All right, so let's just continue.
Rappers pushing Xanax at the top of the billboard, but if I mention race in a song, I'm scared I'll get killed for it.
That's true. You have to be very
exponentially dumb. It's more difficult to get a job than purchase a gun.
I love that. It's like it's backwards, it's exponentially dumb. It's like it's really weird. It's true. It's like it's quite easy to just walk into a store and get a gun as opposed to actually walking into that same store or anywhere else and to get a job. It's like the amount, it's like in certain states or certain places, you just go in, fill out the form, and get it immediately. While if you're trying to get a job, you have to actually go through different processes in order to actually attain that job. So it's like there isn't a standard, and I guess the method out there to get a gun is just woefully, in certain areas, not everywhere, woefully lacking. So there you go.
Eminem used to gay bash and murder his mom, and now he doesn't want fans if they voted for Trump. We're ashamed to be American.
Yes, I do remember. Yes, Eminem did that a lot, and he was protested against and demonstrated. Well, he did say that. And I think, you see, the thing I have with that is that Eminem was actually doing it for shock value. I don't think he actually, at least I personally don't think he actually believed in the stuff he said. He said it to get a response from people. It's sort of like he's putting it out there to gauge your response, to bring it out in the forefront so people are actually aware, and you could actually use that as a self-actualization exercise to actually, um, you look into yourself and figure out what your stances are to the topics that he's actually talking about. At least that's how I interpreted it. Interpreted. I'm sorry, I had too much energy drink. I do apologize. It's how I interpret Eminem's tracks from back then. It's like it's such a shock value. It forces you to actually look into or analyze your take of certain topics and how you feel about it, and make a decision on how where you stand and what you wish, oh, where you stand and what you've done in order to enhance or make things better, more or less. So that's what I have to say about that. So yes, I don't know. I think there's a big difference between Eminem gay bashing and talking about murdering his mom, as opposed to actually saying things that were actually intentionally meant to antagonize or hurt a certain group of people. That's how I interpret it. I might be wrong, but that's what I thought whenever I listen to his earlier works.
You should probably love it, cause you have the right to hate it and not get stoned to death in public. As children, we were taught how to walk and talk, but the system wants adults to sit down and shut up. Cancel culture runs the world now, the planet went crazy. Label everything we say as homophobic or racist. If you're
Yes, the cancel culture. Bloody hell. Sorry, yeah, cancel culture is a problem. It's getting out of control, and partly is partly because not no matter what someone actually says, there's bound to be someone who's actually going to be offended by that action, and there will always be people who would willingly jump into the bandwagon just to put somebody down. So something might be, normal, utterly harmless towards a segment of people or whoever the person's talking to, and if it's overheard, if it's put out there, there's bound to be someone who's actually offended, and the person would actually use that as a means to put the person down, even though it wasn't actually meant, in a derogatory way or meant to harass anyone or whatever. So it's like people context are being thrown out the window just to actually bring people down. I know it's not always the case. There are certain situations I'm quite sure whereby it's necessary to actually, go out there and bring attention to the problem, but it's not something that you see, this is why I really didn't want to do this track, because all right, so yeah, it's a murky situation, and people are easily offended, and now people are actually quite worried, or they have to be very careful what they say, and they can't actually express themselves without actually offending someone who might actually create a situation whereby you get cancelled. So it's a tough world, man.
White, then you're privileged, guilty by association. All our childhood heroes got Me Too'd or they're rapists. They never freed the slaves.
That's true. The Me Too, the rapists, the childhood heroes, a lot of them, yeah. All right.
They realized that they don't need the chains. They gave us tiny screens. We think we free because we can't see the cage. They knew that race.
Well, he's talking through that. It's like you think there's now we're being chained metaphorically. It's like you have the screens. You're being programmed by different algorithms to make you. It's like our society is getting highly polarized, and the algorithms from the social medias and videos and all this stuff are actually promoting this, and that's in itself slavery. So I love what he did there with actual chains and slavery and digital slavery.
War would be the game they need to play for people to big teams. They use the media to feed the flame. They so fake woke. Facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what.
I don't know.
They so fake woke. Same old safe zones. They so fake woke. Facts don't care about your feelings. I think it's crazy.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm not really feeling that whole chorus line over there. I think it takes away from the message. But you know what? Screw it. The message is really important here. So I'm enjoying what he has to say. So let's go.
I think it's crazy how these people screaming facts, but they fake woke. Hate their neighbor cause he wears a mask or he stays home. Has a daughter, but his favorite artist said he slays hoes. Picks her up from school, music slaps on the way home.
That's what I was just talking about. Has a daughter, and he listens to songs about artists saying they slay hoes. So yeah, it's like the whole dichotomy and in human nature and the way they react to certain things. It's like weird hypocrisy going on, but at the same time, it's unavoidable. It's all about personal experience and personal, I guess, beliefs. That sort of the experiences we actually have sort of creates this whole tolerance for certain things, and so yeah. That's what I was talking about. It's like the experiences of people are differ. So one person might actually enjoy something and think it's actually fun, and another person will might feel otherwise. And the problem is we have to somehow find a way to get emotions out of it and just analyze what it is for what it is before we make a judgment. We shouldn't. You know what? This is supposed to be a Tom MacDonald song, and I think I'm getting way, 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 way. I mean, it's a minute 29, and I'm already wow. Okay, you know what? We're just gonna continue with the song and see what next he has to say about fake woke.
Picks her up from school, music slaps on the way home. Censorship's an issue cause they choose what they erase. There's a difference between hate speech and speech that you hate. I think Black Lives.
I like that. There's a difference between hate speech and speech that you hate. It's a very, very, it's a fine distinction between the two of them. And it's like people keep blurring, merging the two of them together. It just saturates the whole thing and makes it impossible to actually genuinely, attack issues that are truly hate speech. So, I mean, that also pertains to racism. I do believe it's like I've seen situations whereby people actually use like, oh, you're racist for saying certain things, and you're like, no, I'm not a racist for doing this. This is actually, yeah, it's really weird. And after a while, it just becomes, if there's something wrong with like you're racist, that becomes a problem, and it becomes harder to actually filter out the true racism in that's happening, because oversaturation of anything becomes a problem, whether it's good or bad. All right, at least that's my opinion.
Matter was the stupidest name when the system's screwing every between hate speech and speech that you hate. I think Black Lives Matter was the stupidest name when the system's screwing everyone exactly the same.
I kind of disagree with that. I think people keep focusing on the wrong aspect of the whole Black Lives Matter movement. I know this is going to be controversial. I do, from my understanding of what Black Lives Matter is that it is a movement. It does state Black Lives Matter, but it doesn't mean that other lives do not matter. It's just bringing it to the forefront. There is a problem, and they're bringing it to the forefront. And I think everything after that, it's like becomes sort of like a parody of, look, Black Lives Matter, I agree. Blue Lives Matter, which police, I agree, their lives also do matter. But I think it's making a mockery of Black Lives Matter. It was not necessary. Look, Black Lives Matter is a slogan that's trying to bring into the forefront that there are issues in policing in the Black community. You may not agree with it because you haven't actually experienced it, but a lot of people apparently have experienced that problem, and it's an issue. And they want to bring it out in the forefront. That doesn't necessarily mean what they're saying is that other lives do not matter. I think ultimately, correct me if I'm wrong, that Black Lives Matter is basically a movement that's trying to get basically get the same treatment as other people in the country. They want equal treatment. They want better policing. Everyone wants that. They want cops to arrest, take to the prison, follow the whole judicial process. It's like the cops are there to arrest you, or discover whatever, arrest you, take you to court, and if you're found guilty, take you to jail. They don't want you to be judge, jury, and execution. It's like, it's all that thing. Yes, it pertains to everyone. But there seem to be, I don't know, I don't have any statistics to actually back me up, a higher prevalence of black people getting killed in situations whereby they're being arrested. And that wouldn't be the same with white people. I'm not 100% sure, but I have seen certain incidents. It could be that certain police officers are actually better in handling things, or it could be an institutional thing. It's weird. It's controversial, and I really don't like talking about politics and stuff like that, because I know perception is key, and experience is also very important in this. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I disagree with what he said there, like 100%, but that's his opinion, and I respect that he actually is courageous enough to actually state that in a track, and all the power to him.
You hate. I think Black Lives Matter was the stupidest name when the system's screwing everyone exactly the same. I just want to spend Thanksgiving Day with food and my family without being accused of celebrating native casualties.
So basic. There he goes. Like, the system is screwing everyone the same, but Black Lives Matter did not believe they're being screwed the same way. They're being screwed worse. They want to be screwed the same as everyone else, more or less.
Thanksgiving Day with food and my family without being accused of celebrating native casualties. We got so divided, it's black and white and political. Republicans are bigots.
But that becomes a problem, isn't it? The whole Thanksgiving thing. It's like, it is a celebration that has a negative connotation, and we have to find a way. I don't know how that could actually be erased. I don't see that actually happening, because there were atrocities performed during the original. I mean, there are atrocities associated with the original, or the beginnings of the Thanksgiving. So that's a bit murky area over there. So I don't know what to say. Yes, I would love to be able to sit down and not think about it, but at the same time, I think it's fine to think about it and use that as a process of making sure something like that never actually happens again, rather than completely ignore the fact that there is a problem. Oh, there was a problem.
Being accused of celebrating native casualties. We got so divided, it's black and white and political. Republicans are bigots, libtards if you're liberal. There's riots in the streets and it's just getting worse. Y'all screaming deep on the police. Y'all are genius for sure. They're underfunded already. They're way too busy to...
You see, that's the whole problem with that. In this point, I actually agree with him on the whole defund the police. I think that's the dumbest slogan I've ever heard. I think if you actually have I guess in a way that would also pertain to Black Lives Matter. The fact that if you actually tell someone you want to defund the police, and the person was like, "What the hell are you talking?" If you have to actually explain your slogan to someone, then that slogan has actually failed. That's what I think. Even though I understand from what defund the police is all about, is that they want to, I guess, minimize the amount. Obviously, reduce the funds being sent to police. Use those funds to actually create programs that would actually help the police in the long run in dealing with certain situations whereby they shouldn't have been in the first place. It's not really their purview. It's like mental cases and all that stuff. So if you could actually have, I mean, they are, yes, certain branches, obviously, it's a government position, so they're definitely going to be underfunded. There's no question about that. But there's certain departments that have been told whereby they actually have military vehicles patrolling the street, which is really weird. I'm not quite sure why a civil position actually requires military hardware in order to patrol. But that's just me, and I know it's not all police department. So there needs to be sit down, and also there needs to be accountability. It's like the police union is actually quite strong, And apparently, as I said, bad apples somehow manage, regardless of proof or regardless of whatever, to remain as cops, and aren't bad cops aren't being disciplined. Or at least that's the perception that's actually out there. So that's a problem. Things need to change. Yes, defund the police department. That was a weird slogan. I have to admit to that. I thought that was really, 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 really poor choice of slogan. I'm just gonna continue. Let's just go.
Work, order food and call the cops. See what reaches you first. Segregation ended, that's a
Food,
lie in
obviously.
itself. That was a strategy to make us think they were trying to help. They knew that racism was hot if they designed it to sell. We buy up every single box and divide us ourselves. They so
That's true.
facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake, whoa, same old safe zones. They so fake, whoa. Facts don't care about your feelings. We use violence to get peace and wonder why it isn't working. That's like sleeping with a football team to try and be a virgin. Politicians are for sale and someone...
That correlation is a bit weird. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. That correlation is just too bizarre. I'm not even gonna go there. All right, so let's just go.
Politicians are for sale and someone always makes the purchase. But you
True.
and I cannot afford it. Our democracy is worthless. If a man has mental illness, call him crazy.
We have a corporate Congress,
Country's
people.
going crazy, we accept it as society. Get sick and take a pill. When the side effects get you high, you get addicted like these rappers dying, fighting with sobriety. Censoring the facts turns out...
That is true. That is true. It's I'm like synthetic heroin. I had no idea that was actually a thing until they were talking about Percocet and all that. I was like, are you kidding me? And they were actually prescribing those. And they were surprised that people were addicted to it. Is it Percocet? Oh, well, one of those pain meds. So it's like, I was like, it's basically the same structure. I was like, what the hell? Yeah.
Children into idiots. They claim it's for our safety. I'll tell you what it really is. Removing and fighting with sobriety. Censoring the facts turns our children into idiots. They claim it's for our safety. I'll tell you what it really is.
Censoring the fact. Yeah, censoring the fact is a problem. It's like, it's really insane how that's actually happened. It's it's like the world is going to shit, to be honest. And it's like, how do you actually get that to work? It's, you have to put laws in order to make certain things not happen, but at the same time, that could also pose its own problem. It's like, if laws are constantly being... Well, let's just put it this way. We have a problem with education. We have a problem with facts. And that needs to be sorted in order to actually make this better. It has to happen sooner rather than later, because people aren't willing to put the effort to actually verify their stance in certain things. Or at least, even if they verify, even if they actually put the effort and it doesn't actually fit with the narrative, they still stick to it doggedly and continue peddling that lie, which is really, really annoying. And the media has played a part in perpetrating this problem. Media and our failing educational system, I believe. So, and people's inability to actually admit when they're wrong. That's a problem.
Dying fighting with sobriety. Censoring the facts turns our children into idiots. They claim it's for our safety. I'll tell you what it really is. Removing information that empowers all the citizens. The truth doesn't damage points of view that are legitimate. They're trying to change amen to amen and women. How'd we let them make praying a microaggression instead of asking...
I'm sorry, wait, I'm confused. When the hell did that happen? I completely missed that whole thing. Amen to a women? That makes absolutely no sense. Isn't amen a Hebrew word that means so be it, or I believe, or something like that? So be it, I believe. So why would you turn into a woman? That makes absolutely no sense. I'm sorry, that is a very weird thing that apparently I've missed. Shows you how much I follow social media events.
Men and women, how'd we let them make praying a microaggression? Instead of asking God for the strength to keep winning, we cheat to get ahead and then we ask him for forgiveness. Feminism used to be the most righteous of fights, but these days it feels like they secretly hate guys. I don't trust anyone who bleeds for a week and don't die. I'm just kidding.
That's so seriously fucked up shit to say. But no, I do believe that's the case. Yeah, it's like, I thought it's become a little bit too, it's become militant. At least certain people have turned it into a situation whereby they actually go around bashing dudes and whatnot, which is a problem. But you know what? I'm just gonna shut up there.
But everything else that I said is right. It feels like they secretly hate guys. I don't trust anyone who bleeds for a week and don't die. I'm just kidding. But everything else that I said is right. They so fake woke. Facts don't care about feelings. They know they won't tell me what to believe in. They so fake woke. Same old.
All right, it's all right. You know what? Never mind. That actually works.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
I actually ended up liking this. This is I'm talking about the chorus. Initially, I was like, yeah, but now it's like, you know, fake woke or whatnot. All right, this, I do apologize, was a bit longer than I expected. Oh my god, for a 4-minute video, that was, I screwed up. All right, that was Tom MacDonald's. That was Fake Woke, and that was very interesting and very entertaining and very important message. As I said, I didn't really agree with everything, and I did stumble a bit somewhere in there. I do apologize for that, but ultimately I do agree with a lot of what he actually says. I think he actually does, you know, make sense, and it forces us to actually think and our perception on how we view society and all that, and hopefully we will get better. I don't know how. I'm hoping, I'm being optimistic here, that people will actually take the time to, you know, check their prejudices. I can't pronounce certain words anymore. And, you know, take the time to, you know, think, listen, remove emotion out of the equation and just think before you speak. Well, no, that's not true. Take emotion out of the equation and just just analyze it from that as perspectives. Keep emotions away from things, because whenever emotion is involved, sometimes it tends to go awry and we end up with a situation where that goes out of control and ends up doing more harm than good. Anyway, so with that said, this is your boy Jack. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification button, let you know when next I drop a new video. Don't forget to leave comments down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you want me to react to. And if you've got nothing to say, just say, hey, that's absolutely okay. If you disagree with what I've said during this reaction video, wish to expand on what I've said during this reaction video, please don't hesitate to let me know in the comments down below. All I ask is that you be constructive about it. With that said, this is your boy Jack. Y'all take care, and I will catch you on the flip side.